In the freezing darkness of a New York City jail cell on January 21st, 1848, a man awakens from a stupor. He has the horrifying realization he has been arrested for throwing sulfuric acid at strangers on the street. This wasn't a madman born to violence. He was a celebrated hero, the man who had single-handedly discovered anesthesia. This reality creates a terrifying question. How does the man who saved the world from agony become a monster so consumed by it? His mind so shattered that his only escape is a final, self-inflicted act of violence? To understand this catastrophic fall, you must first understand the world he tried to save. The early 19th century was an age of agony. Surgery was not a science of healing, it was a brutal, desperate butchery. Patients were not numbed. They were held down by force, their bodies strapped to wooden tables, their ears filled with their own screams. The operating theater was not a sterile sanctuary. It was a stage for public spectacle, filled with onlookers and grime. Instruments were unsterilized, wiped on a coat and used again, guaranteeing infection was as likely a killer as the affliction itself. Even the surgeons, lauded for their speed, were often haunted men, forced to become desensitized to the human suffering they inflicted daily. In this world, a tooth extraction was a form of torture. A tumor removal was a waking nightmare. Millions chose to die from their ailments rather than submit to the surgeon's knife. This was the reality for all of human history. Pain was absolute. And Horace Wells, a brilliant and empathetic dentist from Hartford, Connecticut, believed it did not have to be this way. His moment of revelation arrived on December 10, 1844. He attended a public spectacle, a laughing gas show. One participant, a local man named Samuel Cooley, inhaled the gas and began to leap around the stage, completely intoxicated. He stumbled, gashing his leg deeply on a wooden bench. Blood pooled on the floor, yet Cooley felt nothing. He sat down, staring at his mangled shin with a placid, detached curiosity. The audience laughed, but Wells saw something else entirely. He saw the answer. He saw a future without screams. The next day, he made a decision that would alter the course of medicine. He asked a fellow showman to bring a bag of nitrous oxide to his dental practice. He then sat in his own operating chair. He inhaled the gas until he lost consciousness. His colleague, John Riggs, reached into his mouth with a pair of forceps. He gripped a troublesome wisdom tooth and pulled. Wells awoke moments later, exclaiming, "I did not feel it so much as the prick of a pin." He added, "It is the greatest discovery ever made." He was right. He had done it. He had conquered surgical pain. Driven by a genuine desire to give his discovery to the world, Wells arranged a demonstration at Harvard Medical School. In January 1845, he stood before a theater of skeptical surgeons and students. A patient was brought in for a tooth extraction. Wells administered the nitrous oxide, but in his haste, or perhaps his anxiety, he removed the gas bag too soon. As he pulled the tooth, the patient groaned audibly. The audience, primed for failure, erupted in ridicule. Cries of "humbug" and "swindler" echoed through the hall. His demonstration was declared a catastrophic failure. He fled Boston not just in disgrace, but as a man broken. The failure wasn't just professional, it was a deep personal wound, from which he would never truly recover. Horace Wells was dismissed as a charlatan, his reputation shattered. The professional humiliation was total, and it began to eat at him. The second blow came from a man he trusted. His former student and business partner, William T.G. Morton, had been present at the failed demonstration. Morton saw the potential in Wells's idea, but he was a man of pure ambition, not empathy. He sought a more reliable agent and held his own public demonstration in the same theater 1 year later. But Morton used a different chemical, sulfuric ether. The demonstration was a stunning success. The patient felt nothing. The world was electrified. Morton immediately began a ruthless campaign to market himself as the sole inventor of anesthesia, and he patented the process. He tried to disguise the chemical and systematically erased Horace Wells from the narrative. While Wells had tried to give the discovery away for free, Morton tried to monetize it. Wells fought back, publishing letters to defend his claim. But he was drowned out by Morton's aggressive self-promotion. The world celebrated Morton. Wells was forgotten, broken, Desperate and obsessed with reclaiming his legacy, Wells began searching for an even better anesthetic. He found chloroform, a new and powerful substance, and he began to experiment, not on patients, but on himself. He started a diary, meticulously recording the effects. At first it was scientific curiosity, then it became a habit, then an addiction. Chloroform, a potent hepatotoxin and neurotoxin, was ravaging his central nervous system. His diary documented not just euphoria, but temporal lobe seizures, vivid hallucinations, and a dissolution of moral judgment. He was chemically rewriting his personality into something unrecognizable, abandoning his family and his practice. He moved to New York City to continue his obsessive self-experimentation. In the final weeks, his behavior became monstrous. Convinced he was dealing with abandoned women, he stalked the streets in a chloroform-induced delirium. On January 21, 1848, he accosted two women on Broadway, throwing sulfuric acid on their clothes. He was arrested shortly after, having no clear memory of the attack. He awoke in his cell at the Tombs prison. The chloroform haze finally lifted, and for the first time in weeks, he was lucid. And with that lucidity came a crushing understanding. He understood what he had done and what he had become. The jailers gave him his shaving kit, and he smuggled in a small vial of chloroform. He sat down and wrote a final, heartbreaking letter to his wife. In it, he confessed everything. He knew he was no longer himself. He wrote, "I feel that I am fast becoming a deranged man. The cause of all this is the inhaling of chloroform." He understood perfectly the substance he believed would vindicate him had instead destroyed him. He directly blamed the chemical for turning him into the monster he saw in the mirror. The mystery was solved in his own hand. His final act was a grim testament to his own discovery. On January 24, 1848, Horace Wells sat on his prison cot. He saturated a handkerchief with his remaining chloroform and inhaled deeply one last time. As the anesthetic rendered him numb to all pain, he took his razor and sliced open the femoral artery in his leg. The man who taught the world how to escape agony used that knowledge to escape his own. For decades, William Morton was celebrated as the father of anesthesia. The world forgot the tormented dentist from Hartford, but history eventually corrected its course. Years after his death, medical associations officially declared Horace Wells the true discoverer. Monuments were erected in his honor, but his true legacy is not in stone. It is in the silent peace of every modern operating room. It is in every patient who closes their eyes without fear. It is in the absence of screams, the absence of straps, the absence of trauma. Every painless surgery today is built upon his brilliant insight and his tragic sacrifice. The man who conquered pain could not conquer his own. He gave the world a gift he was unable to use for himself, a hero consumed by the very darkness he sought to extinguish.